The bridge of the flagship Indomitable was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Admiral Kyung-ho stood looking at the stars through the main window. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he did not care. Something big was coming. He could feel it in his bones. "Admiral," Captain Nari called from her station. Her voice was tight with worry. "We are getting a priority message from the outer system. It's marked as urgent." Kyung-ho turned around. Nari had been his aide for 5 years. She never looked worried unless something was really wrong. "Put it on the main screen." The stars disappeared. In their place appeared a face that made Kyung-ho's blood run cold. It was not human. The creature had blue-gray skin that looked like stone. Its eyes were black and had no pupils. When it spoke, its voice sounded like grinding metal. "I am Supreme Arbiter Zalnath of the Galactic Council of 12, the alien said. "I speak for all civilized species in this galaxy. We have watched your species for many cycles. We have decided that you are ready to join galactic society." Kyung-ho felt his heart start beating faster. First contact. This was what humanity had dreamed about for hundreds of years. But something felt wrong. The alien's tone was not friendly. It sounded like a judge reading a sentence. "Your species will submit to council authority within 72 standard hours," Zalnath continued. "You will dissolve your current governments. You will accept placement in the council's social order. Your military forces will be disbanded. Your people will be relocated to worlds we choose for you." The message kept going, but Kyung-ho stopped listening. This was not an invitation. This was a demand for total surrender. "If you refuse these terms," Zalnath said, "your species will be classified as a threat to galactic peace. The council will take action to remove this threat. You have 72 hours to decide. Choose wisely." The message ended. The bridge was silent. Captain Nari spoke first. "Admiral, should I get President Hana on the line?" "Yes," Kyung-ho said. His voice sounded calm, but inside he was shaking. "Get me a direct line to Earth. Emergency priority." While Nari worked on the connection, Kyung-ho thought about what he had just heard. The alien had talked about other species like they were already part of this council. How many worlds had gotten this same message? How many had said yes? "Connection established, sir," Nari reported. President Hana's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes showed she had not been sleeping well. "Admiral, I just got a copy of that message. Are you seeing what I'm seeing?" "Yes, Madam President. They want us to surrender everything." "I've called an emergency meeting with the Defense Council," Hana said. "Minister Dong-wook and Admiral Tae-hyun are already on their way." "Can you get back to Earth?" "I'll leave immediately," Kyung-ho said. "But Madam President, we need to start preparing our defenses." "Just in case," Hana nodded. "Already started. Dong-wook is putting all fleets on high alert. But Kyung-ho, we need to be smart about this. If they can travel between stars, their technology is far ahead of ours." After the call ended, Kyung-ho stared at the blank screen. Nari came to stand beside him. "Admiral, I've been looking up information about signals from deep space," she said. "There have been strange readings from other star systems over the past year. Radio signals that just stopped suddenly. Other civilizations? Maybe. Or maybe civilizations that used to exist." The trip back to Earth took 6 hours. During that time, Nari kept digging through old data. What she found made both of them sick. Radio signals from at least 12 different star systems had gone quiet in the past 50 years. Always suddenly, always completely. When they reached Earth, Kyung-ho went straight to the emergency meeting. The room was full of the most important people in human government and military. President Hana sat at the head of the table. Defense Minister Dong-wook was showing star charts on a big screen. "We found evidence of at least 20 civilizations that have gone silent," Dong-wook was saying. "The pattern is always the same. Normal radio traffic, then nothing." Fleet Admiral Tae-hyun spoke up. He was an old man with gray hair and scars on his face from the Mars Rebellion years ago. "So we're not the first species they've contacted." "No," Hana said. "And if the pattern holds, we might be the last if we say no." The room was quiet for a long moment. Then a young officer named Lieutenant Wu Bin raised his hand. "Madam President, what if we don't have a choice? What if fighting back is the only way to stay human?" "That's what we're here to decide," Hana said. For the next 6 hours, they talked about options. Some people wanted to try to negotiate. Maybe they could get better terms. Maybe they could keep some freedom. Others, led by Admiral Tae-hyun, said fighting was the only choice. "If we give up now, we give up forever," he said. Our children will grow up as slaves. Our children will grow up dead if we fight, another minister argued. These aliens have technology we can't match. Kyung-ho listened to it all. Finally, President Hana asked him directly, Admiral, you've been quiet. What do you think? Kyung-ho stood up. Madam President, I think about my daughter. She's 8 years old. If we surrender, what kind of life will she have? Will she even remember that humans used to be free? He looked around the room. But if we fight and lose, at least she'll know her parents tried. At least she'll know that when someone tried to make us kneel, we stood up. The vote was close. 7 in favor of resistance, 5 in favor of trying to negotiate. President Hana had the deciding vote. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, My grandmother lived through the North Korean occupation. She used to tell me stories about people who fought back even when they knew they would die. She said the worst thing wasn't dying. The worst thing was forgetting how to live free. Hana looked directly at the camera that would broadcast her decision to the world. Send a message to this council. Tell them humanity's answer is no. We will not kneel. We will not surrender. If they want to take our freedom, they'll have to kill every last one of us. Admiral Kyung-ho returned to his ship with new orders. Prepare for war. As the Indomitable moved into position with the rest of the fleet, he opened a communication channel to the alien council. The message was simple. One word that would change everything, no? War Master Kelrath stood on the bridge of his massive warship and smiled. His species, the Veltharians, had conquered 47 different worlds. This would be number 48. The humans had said no to the Council's offer. That meant they chose death. How long until we reach their outer defenses? He asked his aide. 2 hours, War Master. Our scouts report a small human fleet waiting at something called Titan Station. Kelrath looked at the tactical display. The human fleet was tiny. Maybe 30 ships total. His fleet had over 200 warships, each one more powerful than anything the humans could build. This will be over quickly, he said. At Titan Station, Captain Soo-jin watched the alien fleet approach on her scanner. Her small fleet was made up of whatever ships they could find. Mining vessels with extra armor welded on, cargo haulers carrying missiles instead of supplies, even some old passenger ships that brave volunteers had turned into fighting vessels. Captain, Engineer Wubin called from the engineering deck. The modifications are holding. We've got kinetic launchers on the mining ships and missile pods on the passenger liners. It's not pretty, but it should work. Soo-jin nodded. She had been a freight captain before the war started 3 days ago. Now she was commanding humanity's first line of defense. How many civilians got out? All of them, ma'am. The last transport left Titan Station 6 hours ago. Soo-jin felt a weight lift from her shoulders. At least the families were safe. Now she could focus on making the aliens pay for every inch of space. All ships, this is Captain Soo-jin. Remember the plan. We're not trying to win this fight. We're trying to make them remember it. The alien fleet came in fast and confident. War Master Kelrath expected the humans to form a battle line and fight ship to ship. That's what every other species had done. It was the honorable way to fight. The humans did not fight honorably. As soon as the alien ships came into range, the human fleet scattered like frightened birds. But they did not run away. Instead, they disappeared into the asteroid field around Titan Station. What are they doing? Kelrath demanded. Unknown, War Master. They appear to be hiding among the asteroids. Kelrath was annoyed but not worried. Send fighters into the asteroid field. Flush them out. That's when the humans sprung their first trap. The asteroids were not just rocks. Engineer Wubin had spent weeks placing explosives inside the largest ones. When the alien fighters flew between them, Soo-jin pressed a button. 50 asteroids exploded at once. The shockwave destroyed a dozen alien fighters and damaged many more. But the humans were not done. Pilot Jae-won led a squadron of modified atmospheric fighters out of the asteroid field. His ships were small and fast. They could not hurt the big alien warships with normal weapons. But Wubin had given them something special. Remember, Jae-won told his pilots over the radio, we only get one shot. Make it count. His fighters screamed toward the nearest alien cruiser. The ship's defensive guns tried to shoot them down, but the human fighters were too small and too fast. At the last second, Jae-won's squadron split up. Each fighter aimed for a different part of the enemy ship. They were not carrying missiles or lasers. They were carrying nuclear bombs. The alien captain watched in horror as 12 small human ships flew straight into his vessel. He tried to understand what was happening, but it was too late. The explosions tore his ship apart from the inside. War Master Kelrath could not believe what he was seeing. They destroyed themselves to kill one ship? Yes, War Master. The human pilots appear to have deliberately crashed into our cruiser. Are they insane? Before anyone could answer, more human ships appeared from different parts of the asteroid field. These were the mining vessels, now loaded with chunks of metal and rock. They fired their kinetic launchers at the alien fleet. The projectiles were simple, just big pieces of iron and stone fired at very high speed. But when they hit the alien ships, they punched through armor like it was paper. Captain Sujin coordinated the attack from her command ship. She watched as one of her cargo haulers loaded with missiles charged straight at an alien battleship. The hauler's captain, an old freighter pilot named Captain Minho, stayed on course even as alien weapons tore his ship apart. "This is for Earth," Minho shouted over the radio just before his ship hit the battleship. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from 3 star systems away. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, the humans had lost every ship, but they had destroyed or damaged 30 alien vessels. War Master Kelrath had never seen anything like it. "War Master," his aide said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission from the human survivors." "Survivors? I thought we destroyed all their ships." "Not their ships, sir. Crew members in escape pods." The main screen showed Captain Sujin floating in a damaged escape pod. Half her face was covered in blood, but she was still alive, and she was still fighting. "This is Captain Sujin of the Terran Defense Force," she said. "You killed my crew. You destroyed my ship, but you haven't won anything. Every human in this system knows what happened here today. They know you can be hurt. They know you can bleed." She leaned closer to the camera. "And now they know you're afraid." War Master Kelrath cut the transmission. He was not afraid. He was confused. In all his years of conquest, he had never seen a species fight like this. Most civilizations surrendered after losing a few ships. The humans had fought until every vessel was destroyed. "Prepare a report for the Council," he ordered. "Tell them the first human defense line has been eliminated. But warn them that these humans fight differently than other species." "How differently, War Master?" Kelrath looked at the debris field where the human fleet had made its last stand. 30 of his ships were damaged or destroyed. His fighters had taken heavy losses. And this had been just a small human force defending a mining station. "They fight like they have nothing to lose," he said finally, "and that makes them very dangerous." The alien fleet moved deeper into human space, but they moved slowly now. War Master Kelrath had learned something important at Titan Station. The humans would not surrender easily. They would make every battle cost more than the last. On Earth, President Hana received the report of the battle. All ships lost. But the aliens had paid a price they had not expected to pay. "Send a message to all human colonies," she ordered. "Tell them about Titan Station. Tell them how Captain Sujin and her crew fought. Make sure everyone knows that we can hurt them." Defense Minister Dongwook looked at the tactical reports. "Madam President, we can't keep trading our entire fleets for a handful of their ships. We'll run out of ships before they do." "I know," Hana said. "But we're not trying to win battles. We're trying to win time. Every day we delay them is another day our people can prepare. Another day our engineers can build better weapons. Another day our enemy can doubt themselves." Admiral Taehyun spoke up from his position near the window. "The aliens think this war will be easy. Captain Sujin and her crew just taught them otherwise. Now they know that every human victory will cost them blood." President Hana nodded. "Good. Let them learn to fear us. Fear is the only weapon we have that's stronger than theirs." Commander Hyunwoo looked at the tactical display and knew he was going to die. The alien fleet had reached New Seoul, humanity's most important colony world. 2 million humans lived on the planet below. His job was to protect them with just 15 warships and the planet's defense systems. The odds were impossible. War Master Kelrath had brought his entire fleet to New Seoul. Over 150 warships filled the space around the planet. They had learned from Titan Station. This time they would not underestimate the humans. "Commander," Lieutenant So-young called from her science station, "I'm reading massive energy signatures from the alien ships. They're preparing to bombard the planet from orbit." Hyunwoo nodded grimly. That's what he had expected. The aliens would not make the mistake of fighting his ships again. They would just destroy everything from a safe distance. "Open a channel to all ships," he ordered. "This is Commander Hyunwoo. Today we fight for more than just military victory. 2 million civilians are counting on us to buy them time to reach the evacuation centers." On the bridge of his flagship, War Master Kelrath prepared to end the human resistance quickly. The battle at Titan Station had taught him that humans fought like wild animals when cornered. Better to kill them from far away. Begin orbital bombardment, he commanded. Target all military installations first, then move to population centers. The alien ships opened fire. Massive energy beams struck the planet's surface, creating explosions that could be seen from space. But something was wrong. The humans were not running. Instead, Commander Hyunwoo's small fleet charged straight at the alien formation. "Sir," the alien tactical officer called out. "The human ships are approaching at maximum speed. They appear to be on a collision course." War Master Kelrath had seen this before. Defensive formation. Don't let them get close enough to ram us. But the humans had learned new tricks. As the alien ships moved to intercept them, Commander Hyunwoo's fleet suddenly split apart. Half the ships continued toward the alien formation, while the other half dove toward the planet. The ships heading for the planet were not running away. They were positioning themselves between the alien fleet and the civilian evacuation sites. Captain In-ha commanded one of the ships in the planetary defense group. Her cruiser had been badly damaged in the initial bombardment, but her weapons still worked. As alien fighters swooped down to attack the evacuation centers, she met them head-on. "This is Captain In-ha to all civilian transports," she broadcast. "Keep loading those ships. We'll hold them off as long as we can." Her ship fired everything it had at the attacking alien fighters. When her missiles ran out, she used her point defense guns. When those overheated, she rammed her ship into a formation of enemy bombers. The explosion lit up the sky, but it gave the civilian transports time to escape. Meanwhile, Commander Hyunwoo led the other half of his fleet in a desperate attack on the main alien formation. He knew his ships could not win a straight fight, so he did not try to fight fair. "All ships follow my lead," he ordered. "We're going to make them pay for every shot." His ships wove between the alien vessels like dancers, too close for the big guns to target them effectively. When an alien ship tried to turn to follow, Hyunwoo's escorts would attack from the opposite direction. The battle was chaotic and desperate. Human ships exploded one by one, but each loss hurt the aliens more than they had expected. The humans aimed for engines and weapons, trying to disable rather than destroy. A disabled ship was just as useless as a destroyed one, but it took up space and resources. War Master Kelrath watched his neat formation fall apart. The humans were like insects, impossible to swat and always attacking from unexpected directions. "How many ships have we lost?" he demanded. 12 destroyed, 23 damaged, War Master. But we've eliminated all human ships in space. Kelrath should have felt victorious, but he did not. The humans had hurt him again. Worse, they had delayed his bombardment long enough for many civilians to escape. "Begin landing operations," he ordered. "We'll finish this on the ground." That's when War Master Kelrath learned that the real fight was just beginning. Dr. So-young had been a xenobiologist before the war started. She studied alien life forms and wrote papers about evolution. Now she was leading the resistance in New Seoul's capital city. The aliens had superior technology and overwhelming numbers, but Dr. So-young understood something they did not. Humans had evolved differently than most species. "Listen carefully," she told the resistance fighters gathered in the subway tunnels beneath the city. "Most alien species evolved on worlds with stable climates and few predators. They're used to ordered, predictable environments." She pulled up a hologram showing human evolutionary history. "We evolved on a world of ice ages, volcanoes, and natural disasters. We learned to adapt or die. That's our advantage." The alien ground forces entered New Seoul expecting to face organized military resistance. Instead, they found a nightmare. Every building was a fortress. Every street was a trap. The humans did not fight in formation or follow military doctrine. They fought like their ancestors had fought against saber-toothed tigers in Ice Age winters. When conventional weapons ran out, the humans used improvised explosives made from household chemicals. When those ran out, they used their knowledge of the city against the invaders. Engineer Woo Bin had helped design New Seoul's infrastructure. He knew every tunnel, every power line, every water pipe. He turned the city itself into a weapon. "Sector 7, this is Woo Bin," he radioed to a resistance cell. "In 30 seconds, I'm going to cut power to your area. When the lights go out, hit them hard, then retreat through the maintenance tunnels." The aliens had night vision, but the sudden darkness still confused them. In those few seconds of confusion, the humans struck and vanished. Colonel In-ha had survived the space battle in an escape pod. Now she led the defense of the government district. Her forces were a mix of soldiers, police officers, and civilians who had refused to evacuate. "Remember," she told them, "we're not trying to win. We're trying to make them remember this place. Every alien that dies here is one less alien attacking the next human world." The siege of New Sol lasted 3 months. The aliens had expected to conquer the planet in 3 days. Every day, the human resistance found new ways to hurt their enemies. They poisoned water supplies in areas where aliens had set up camps. They sabotaged vehicles and weapons. They spread propaganda that made the alien soldiers doubt their mission. Captain Young Ho had been a philosophy professor before the war. Now he ran a broadcasting station hidden deep in the subway system. Every day he sent messages to the alien troops. "You came here to conquer us," he broadcast. "But look around you. After 3 months, you control a few buildings in one city. We control everything else. Is this victory? Is this what your leaders promised you?" The messages began to have an effect. Some alien soldiers started questioning orders. Others began to show signs of stress and fear. War Master Kelrath received reports that disturbed him. His forces were taking casualties every day, but they were making no real progress. Worse, morale was dropping among his troops. "War Master," his aide reported, "we're receiving requests for reinforcements from all ground commanders. They say the humans are using unconventional tactics that our training did not prepare us for." "What kind of tactics?" "Psychological warfare, sir. The humans are broadcasting messages that seem designed to make our soldiers think about the morality of this war. Some units are reporting decreased effectiveness." Kelrath was angry and confused. How could a primitive species wage psychological warfare against the Galactic Council's finest troops? The end came suddenly. After 3 months of fighting, the human resistance finally ran out of ammunition and supplies. The aliens conquered New Sol, but it was a hollow victory. Of the 2 million humans who had lived on the planet, most had escaped during the siege. The aliens captured a ruined city and a population that would never stop hating them. More importantly, they had paid a terrible price. Over 60 alien ships had been damaged or destroyed. Thousands of alien soldiers were dead or wounded. Entire units needed to be replaced because of psychological trauma. War Master Kelrath stood in the ruins of New Sol's government building and tried to understand what had happened. He had won the battle, but it felt like defeat. "Send a message to the council," he ordered. "Tell them that New Sol has fallen, but warn them that the humans do not fight like any species we have encountered before." "What should I tell them, War Master?" Kelrath looked out at the burning city. His forces controlled the buildings, but snipers still fired from the ruins. Human voices still broadcast resistance messages. Even in defeat, the humans had not surrendered. "Tell them that these humans do not break," he said quietly. "Tell them that when we corner them, they become more dangerous, not less. And tell them that I do not know how to defeat an enemy that refuses to be defeated." Ambassador Veltar walked through the halls of the Galactic Council building with heavy steps. His species, the Ethemoran, had always believed in peaceful solutions to conflict. But the reports coming from human space made his heart sick. The war had been going on for 8 months now. Every day brought news of more destruction, more death. The humans refused to surrender, and War Master Kelrath seemed unable to break their resistance. Veltar entered the council chambers where the other species representatives were already arguing. The room was filled with angry voices speaking in a dozen different languages. "The humans are savages," shouted the Krelnarian representative. "They fight without honor. They use terror tactics." "They fight for their freedom," Veltar said quietly. But his voice was lost in the noise. Supreme Arbiter Zalneth called for order. His stone-like face showed no emotion, but Veltar could see stress in the way he held his shoulders. "War Master Kelrath has requested additional forces," Zalneth announced. "He reports that human resistance is stronger than expected." "How much stronger?" asked the representative from the Zorani Collective. Zalneth hesitated before answering. "We have lost 137 ships. Over 15,000 council soldiers are dead or wounded. Our forces control only 12 human worlds out of 43. The chamber fell silent. Those numbers were shocking. In previous conquests, the council had rarely lost more than a handful of ships. Meanwhile, in human space, Admiral Kyung Ho was planning his next strike. His fleet had grown stronger over the months, not weaker. Human engineers had learned to copy alien technology from captured ships. Chief Engineer Boram had become an expert at combining human and alien systems. "Admiral," Boram reported from the engineering deck, "the new hybrid ships are ready. We've installed alien shields on human hulls and human weapons on alien engines. They're not pretty, but they work." Kyung-ho studied the tactical display. The alien supply lines stretched across dozens of star systems. They were well defended, but they had one weakness. The aliens expected attacks to come from human fleets, not from single ships operating alone. "Contact Lieutenant Commander Sun-hee," he ordered. "Tell her it's time for Operation Ghostwalk." Sun-hee had been a communications officer before the war. Now she commanded a special operations team that specialized in infiltration. Her mission was not to destroy alien ships, but to get inside them. Her ship, a modified scout vessel, approached the alien supply convoy using false identification codes that Boram had extracted from captured computers. To the alien sensors, she looked like one of their own courier ships. "This is courier vessel Zalthus requesting permission to dock." Sun-hee transmitted in perfect alien language. Her team had spent months learning to speak like their enemies. "Permission granted, courier vessel. Proceed to docking bay 7. Sun-hee's ship slid into the massive alien supply ship. Her team moved quickly but carefully. They were not here to plant bombs or steal weapons. They had a different mission. Once aboard the alien vessel, Sun-hee made her way to the ship's communication center. Her team had practiced this operation dozens of times. They knew exactly what to do. "Are you ready?" she asked her communications specialist, Technician Jamin. "Ready, Commander. I've hacked into their system. We can broadcast to their entire fleet." Sun-hee activated the recording device. What happened next would change the war forever. Instead of threatening the aliens or trying to frighten them, Sun-hee began broadcasting something they had never seen before. She showed them what humans really were. The transmission started with images of Earth, not military bases or weapons factories, but forests and oceans, children playing in parks, families having dinner together, artists creating beautiful paintings, musicians playing songs that made people cry with joy. "My name is Sun-hee," she said in the alien language. "I am a human. You came to our worlds to conquer us, but you have never asked what you are trying to destroy." The images continued. A human doctor treating sick children, an elderly man teaching his grandson to fish, a young woman planting flowers in a garden. "You see us as enemies because we fight you," Sun-hee continued, "but we fight because we love. We love our families. We love our freedom. We love the right to choose our own path among the stars." Throughout the alien fleet, soldiers stopped what they were doing to watch the transmission. Many had never seen humans as anything other than targets. Now they saw something that shook them to their core. The broadcast showed human art, human music, human poetry. It showed the beauty that humans created when they were not fighting for their lives. "We did not ask for this war," Sun-hee said. "We asked only to be left alone, to raise our children in peace, to explore the universe and perhaps one day to call you friends." Captain Young-ho appeared in the transmission, speaking from his hidden bunker on New Seoul. "You wonder why we fight so hard," he said. "It is not because we love war. It is because we love peace, and we know that peace without freedom is not peace at all." The transmission lasted only 10 minutes, but its effect was immediate. Across the alien fleet, soldiers began to question what they were doing. For the first time, they saw humans not as primitives to be conquered, but as people with families and dreams. On the Council flagship, War Master Kelrath received dozens of reports about the broadcast. Some of his officers were asking difficult questions. "War Master," his aide said quietly, "the humans in that transmission looked like civilians, families. Are we at war with their entire species or just their military?" Kelrath did not answer. He had been trained to conquer worlds, not to think about the people who lived on them. Back at the Galactic Council, Ambassador Veltar had received a copy of the human transmission. He watched it 3 times, and each time it affected him more deeply. The next day, he stood before the council and did something that had never been done before. He questioned the war itself. "Fellow representatives," he said, "I have studied the human transmission that was broadcast throughout our fleet. I ask you all to watch it and ask yourselves this question. What exactly are we trying to accomplish?" "We are bringing order to the galaxy," Supreme Arbiter Zalneth replied coldly. "Are we?" Veltar challenged. "Or are we destroying something precious? These humans have created art, music, and poetry that rivals our greatest achievements. They show love for their families that matches our own. They fight for freedom with a courage that should inspire us, not anger us. Other representatives began to shift uncomfortably. The Ethemoran had always been the Council's conscience, but Veltar was going further than ever before. I propose that we reconsider this war, Veltar said. Perhaps it is time to ask ourselves whether the galaxy truly needs the human species to be conquered, or whether it needs them to be free. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some representatives supported Veltar, but others were furious at his suggestion. You are letting emotion cloud your judgment, Zalnith said. The humans must submit to council authority like every other species. Why? Veltar asked simply. Because that is how we have always done things? Because we cannot imagine a different way? The argument continued for hours, but something had changed. For the first time in galactic history, council members were questioning whether conquest was always the right answer. In human space, Admiral Kyung-ho received reports that some alien units were fighting with less enthusiasm than before. Minister Yoon-soo, who handled diplomatic communications, reported that several alien species had sent secret messages asking about human peace terms. The transmission worked, Yoon-soo told him. They're starting to see us as people, not just targets. Kyung-ho nodded, but he was not ready to celebrate yet. Keep up the pressure. We need to show them that this war costs more than they're willing to pay. The war was changing. It was no longer just about military victory. It had become a battle for the soul of galactic civilization itself. And for the first time since the fighting began, some aliens were starting to wonder if the humans might be right. 1 year after the war began, the Galactic Council was breaking apart. Ambassador Veltar stood in his private office looking at reports that would have been unthinkable just months ago. 3 council species had formally withdrawn from the war against humanity. 2 others had secretly begun sending medical supplies to human colonies. The Ethemoran delegation had made their decision. They would no longer participate in what they now called the senseless destruction of a remarkable species. Supreme Arbiter Zalneth sat in his chambers, reading War Master Kelrath's latest report. The numbers were devastating. The Council had lost over 300 ships. Nearly 50,000 soldiers were dead, wounded, or missing. Entire star systems were in revolt, inspired by human resistance. Worse than the military losses was something Zalneth had never experienced before. Doubt. Supreme Arbiter, his aide announced. War Master Kelrath is requesting immediate audience. He says it's urgent. When Kelrath appeared on the communication screen, Zalneth was shocked. The proud warrior looked broken. His uniform was dirty and torn. His eyes held a haunted look that spoke of too many battles and too many losses. Supreme Arbiter, Kelrath said, I must report that human resistance has not weakened. If anything, it has grown stronger. Explain. Kelrath took a deep breath. They learn from every battle. They adapt to every tactic we use. When we destroy their ships, they build new ones from the wreckage of ours. When we capture their planets, they turn the population against us. He paused, struggling with words that went against everything he had been taught. Supreme Arbiter, they cannot be conquered because they refuse to be conquered. We have killed millions of them, but the survivors fight harder than the ones we killed. Are you saying we cannot defeat them? I am saying that defeating them may require us to kill every single human in the galaxy. And I am no longer certain that is something we should do. Zalneth was silent for a long moment. Finally, he asked, what do you recommend? I recommend we listen to what they are trying to tell us. On Earth, President Hana looked older than her years. The war had aged everyone, but humanity had not broken. If anything, they had grown stronger. Cell leader Mi Young had coordinated uprisings on 17 occupied worlds. Her network of resistance fighters had turned alien-controlled space into a nightmare of constant guerrilla warfare. Admiral Tae-hyun's ghost fleet still roamed the outer systems, hitting alien supply lines and rescue operations. The aliens had never found his hidden bases, and they had stopped trying. But the biggest victory was not military. It was what Lieutenant Commander Sunhee had started with her broadcast. Humans had shown the galaxy that they were more than just stubborn fighters. They were artists, dreamers, and builders of beautiful things. Madam President, Defense Minister Dong-wook announced, we're receiving a priority transmission from the Galactic Council. It's addressed to you personally. Hana had been expecting this for weeks. The reports from their spies indicated that the Council was fracturing. Put it through. The face that appeared on the screen was not Supreme Arbiter Zalneth. It was Ambassador Veltar of the Ethmoron. President Hana, he said, I speak not for the Council, but for several species who believe this war must end. We request permission to open formal negotiations. What are your terms? Hana asked. That is what we wish to discuss. But I can tell you that many of us no longer believe humanity should be forced to surrender. You have shown us something we had forgotten. That freedom is worth fighting for. The formal negotiations took place on a neutral space station. President Hana led the human delegation. Ambassador Veltar represented the growing coalition of council species who wanted peace. Supreme Arbiter Zalneth attended, but he was no longer in control. The other species representatives made that clear from the beginning. The war ends today, announced the representative from the Kithara Union. The question is, how? Zalneth tried to maintain his authority. The humans must submit to council law. That has always been our requirement. Then perhaps our requirement was wrong, said the delegate from the Soran Republic. Ambassador Veltar had prepared for this moment. I propose that we acknowledge humanity as a sovereign species. They have proven their right to independence through their courage and their refusal to yield. Impossible, Zalneth said. No species has ever earned independence through resistance. If we allow this, other worlds will rebel. Good, said President Hana quietly. The room fell silent as she stood up. Maybe it's time for other worlds to remember what freedom feels like. She looked around the table at the alien representatives. You came to our worlds expecting us to kneel. We showed you that some things are more important than life itself. Freedom is one of those things. Hana activated a holographic display showing the current state of the galaxy. Look at your empire now. 12 worlds in open revolt. 3 species have withdrawn from your alliance. Your own soldiers question their orders. She leaned forward. This war has not made the galaxy more orderly. It has shown everyone that your order was built on fear, not justice. The delegate from the Zephyr Coalition spoke up. What do you propose, President Hana? Simple. Recognize humanity's independence. Let us govern ourselves as we choose. In return, we will share our technology and our knowledge with any species that wants to learn from us. And if we refuse? Asked Zalneth. Admiral Kyung-ho answered from his position beside the president. Then we continue fighting. We have learned how to hurt you. We have learned how to survive. And we have learned that we would rather die free than live as slaves. The vote was closer than expected, but the result was historic. By a margin of 7-5, the Galactic Council agreed to recognize humanity as an independent species. Supreme Arbiter Zalneth cast one of the dissenting votes, but even he seemed relieved when it was over. The war is ended, he announced formally. Humanity is granted sovereign status within Council space. But the real victory was what came next. Over the following months, 3 more species declared independence from Council control. The rigid caste system that had controlled the galaxy for millennia began to crumble. Ambassador Veltar was elected as the new Supreme Arbiter, representing a coalition of free worlds. His first act was to establish the Galactic Charter of Rights. Based partly on human concepts of freedom and self-determination, Admiral Kyung-ho became humanity's first ambassador to the new Galactic Federation. On his first day in office, he met with War Master Kelrath, who had been reassigned to diplomatic duties. I want to apologize, Kelrath said. My people believed that strength meant the ability to conquer others. You taught us that true strength means the refusal to be conquered. Kyung-ho extended his hand in the human gesture of friendship. We never wanted to be your enemies. We only wanted to be free. The former War Master looked at the offered hand for a moment, then clasped it firmly. Perhaps now we can learn to be friends. 6 months after the war ended, President Hana stood before the United Nations on Earth, addressing not just humanity but representatives from dozens of alien species who had come to learn about human culture and government. The Council learned something important, she said. They learned that a species willing to die for freedom is a species that can never truly be defeated. But we learned something too. We learned that freedom is not something you win once and keep forever. It is something you must choose again every day. She looked out at the mixed crowd of humans and aliens. Today we choose freedom not just for ourselves, but for every species in the galaxy. Today we choose to build a universe where no one has to kneel. The applause that followed could be heard across the solar system. In the end, the Galactic Council had been right about one thing. Humanity had changed the galaxy forever, but not through conquest or submission. They had changed it by showing everyone what it meant to be truly free.